Hello viewers, thank you for joining me. This movie ended up being such a journey that I feel a little bad to say that I wasn't initially drawn to it for any particularly deep reason, or even that I'd heard good reviews from other people. There I was, just casually scanning the shelves of Walmart's anime section, when I came across Pompo the Cinephile. And to be honest, I hadn't even read the summary before I knew it was coming home with me. The cover of the DVD just so perfectly captured the vibe of a gender-bent version of my best friend and I, with the bright, outgoing one front and center, and the quieter one kind of skulking in the background, that I couldn't walk away from it. And I'm happy to say this on-a-whim purchase didn't disappoint. There are at least 3 characters in this movie who feel like they have main character plot lines, but the one who immediately jumps out at you is Pompo, a young but talented and revered producer in Neollywood. She's the granddaughter of a legendary director, so his connections definitely paved her way into this world, but she's earned her place since then, even though she makes exclusively low-budget B-movies. Our other lead is her personal assistant, Jean, a lifelong film buff who near-obsessively takes notes on everything he sees on set. They have a good relationship, though. It's clear from the start that Pompo values his opinion, and that sort of trust enables the normally timid Jean to open up and question her in return, get some insight into some of the decisions that go into her movies. A few of her big points, the cornerstones of how she approaches filmmaking, are that any movie can be great as long as it has the right cast, and that she never produces anything that's longer than 90 minutes. I think there's an interesting discussion to be had there, particularly her argument that longer films just don't mesh well with modern audiences these days. But that is one place where she and Jean clash a little. He's the type who's never really had close friends or fit in anywhere. Movies have been his escape from reality since he was a little kid, and he's always been someone who not only can sit through a movie that's several hours long, but always stays to watch the credits through to the end too. And he wonders about that, how it's possible that someone like Pompo, who has filmmaking in her DNA practically, has never felt that before, so sucked in that she doesn't want a movie to end. But he won't have to wonder for much longer. Though he doesn't quite see them for what they are at first, Pompo gives him a series of tests, asking his opinions on certain scenes and tasking him with making the initial 15-second trailer for her current project, before presenting him with a new manuscript. It's the tale of a bitter, aging musician who retires, quits really after one too many disappointments and having pushed away all his friends, but during his vacation to a quiet mountain town in the Alps, he befriends a young girl who rekindles his passion for music and gives him the tools to start putting his life back together. Jean immediately falls in love with the story, but can't help noting that it's very different from the movies Pompo usually makes. She tells him the movie's actually already cast, too. Her grandfather pulled some strings to get Marlon Braddock to play the musician. Meant to resemble the real-life Marlon Brando, Marlon Braddock is hailed as the greatest actor in history by a lot of film buffs in this universe, including Jean. He was basically in retirement himself. This will be his first movie in 10 years. And the young girl will be played by Natalie Woodward, an aspiring actress from a small town who's failed every audition she's been to so far, including one for Pompo's last movie, but something about her stood out, and Pompo wrote this role specifically with her in mind, and then sent her to acting classes and set her up as the roommate of the actress who stars in most of her other movies. But her biggest surprise is that this won't really be her project. She wants Jean to direct it, and secretly hopes he'll be able to bring it to life in a way that moves her like no other film ever has. Martin actually grew on me quite a lot, but Natalie's the other one who feels like she could be a main character. After Pompo's big reveal to Jean, the movie actually rewinds time to show us her tale from the beginning, and something about that choice felt a little awkward, but not enough to linger on. She's likable enough. Maybe a little bland. I really enjoyed the friendship she struck up with Jean, We've got like a double underdog story here, and she recognizes that in him immediately, that he's also kind of in awe that this is happening to him. He has a really great line about how he can't run away from this. Movies have always been his escape. If he gives this chance up, there'd be nowhere left to run to. They have some sweet interactions, and really did feel like a team, despite playing very different roles in bringing this movie together. One thing I really liked about this movie is that their movie isn't just a vague concept, a plot device. You get to see basically all of it as it comes together, and more importantly, you get to see every step of the process of getting it made, from the casting, to the filming, to the editing. There's almost no end to this movie's high points, actually. The characters were another big one. There was something about it that I couldn't quite put my finger on until nearly the very end, and it was that, in contrast to all the drama in their movie, there was next to no drama between the characters in their real lives. While some people may find that boring, I felt there was something super refreshing about that. The more veteran actress has no complaints about Natalie suddenly moving in and shadowing her. Braddock seems kind of arrogant at first and isn't shy about sharing his opinions, but he's also entirely respectful of Jean having the final say on everything. That he may be young and inexperienced, but he is the director. Pompo can be stubborn and pushy, but in that eccentric artist sort of way, and she's never unnecessarily cruel. Hell, Jean even meets up with one of his high school bullies who's grown up to feel unfulfilled in his life, despite appearing outwardly successful. And rather than resent Jean for how much happier he is, he apologizes for what he did in the past, and is genuinely pleased things are going so well for him. The characters were great. They have their stresses and struggles, but overall there's such a feel-good vibe to this movie, and it has a lot to do with how supportive everyone is of each other. There were no divas on this set. I loved the way it was animated. There are a lot of shots and transitions that just feel so perfect for a movie about filmmaking. There's a scene where Jean is watching the world pass by while he's on the bus, spotting snippets of life that would make for perfect movie scenes, and it ends by zooming into his eye as it turns into a camera lens. The depiction of him editing, cutting through strips of film with a sword in his mind, was satisfyingly dramatic. And I think my favorite scene, just on the basis of how it was shot, was one where Jean's at a party, getting advice from a more experienced director before he starts his own first project. The director tells him to remember that he won't be able to please everyone, and should instead focus on making it for the one person he most wants to show it to. And as they're talking, the camera slowly blurs the director in front of him and focuses in on Pompo talking to someone else in the background. What can I say? Some things don't need to be subtle to be beautiful. And I wouldn't say the music was that noticeable to me throughout, but it did have some breakthrough moments that were really great. If there was any one flaw I'd feel was worth complaining about, it's that the wish fulfillment aspects got to be a little much near the end. A surprisingly pleasant meeting with an old bully is one thing. That ex-bully then goes on to champion getting this movie financed after some setbacks caused their other banks to pull out. He pulls the kind of dramatic stunt that's not unheard of in fiction, but which absolutely would have gotten him fired in real life. That there's zero consequences for it, and the movie then goes on to win, like, literally every award. I wanted to see them succeed, of course, but some things about that final stretch tested my suspension of disbelief in a way the rest of the movie hadn't really, despite the whole thing being a bit whimsical. But I really would have to search through tiny details to find anything else to be critical about, and just because a movie is a little cheesy doesn't mean it's not still beautiful. Pompo the Cinephile absolutely has my recommendation, and I want to shout out the dub especially. I wasn't surprised that it was good. I'd say most dubs are these days. What surprised me is that when I went to look up the main cast afterwards, most of them had almost no other voice acting credits to their name, with the one real exception being Jackie Lastra, who plays Natalie. There really weren't any moments where the voicing felt awkward or flat, so that made it a little extra impressive to me. This movie feels like such a passion project to me. This story and these characters could only have come from someone who loves the industry, and I think that love shines through enough that even people who only enjoy movies casually, and have maybe never given too much thought to how they come together, could get into this one. It's just uplifting. Exactly the kind of movie I'd like to see after a hard day, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Thank you for watching.